Good morning, Missouri. It's Thursday, February 15th, 2018.
Gonna have another spring-like day today.
Yeah, it will be, won't it, Tor?
Little wet, though?
A little bit. I mean, most of us are actually pretty dry at this point. Northeastern Missouri picking up some light showers, and I think that's pretty much all we're expecting the rest of the day. Lots of cloud cover, though. It's going to be breezy and warm. So more than that before our big-time weekend cool down. It's coming up in just a little bit.
Today, investigators are searching for a motive behind a deadly school shooting in South Florida.
At least 17 people are dead and 20 wounded, 5 of them with life-threatening injuries. This makes the third deadliest school shooting behind Virginia Tech and Sandy Hook. The gunman opened fire at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, around 2:30 p.m. local time. 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz pulled a fire alarm just before opening fire on teachers and students who were evacuating classrooms. Officials say Cruz is a former student who was expelled from the high school for disciplinary reasons. Some of yesterday's victims have been identified, but no names will be released until every family is notified.
You're furious. How could this ever happen in this country? How could this happen in this state? This is a state that is focused on keeping all of our children safe. You come to the conclusion this is just absolutely pure evil.
KOMU 8 News spoke with a brother and sister who were inside the school at the time of the shooting. They told us they were about to be dismissed for the day when the fire alarm went off. That's when the rush for cover started.
We both have friends that we don't know if they've been found. We haven't heard anything. No one can get in contact with them. It's scary to think that it was them and they got shot, and to think that it could have been us. If I would have went 2 minutes earlier, maybe the shooter would have gotten me, It's just scary to think, how close we were to that being us.
The high school's football coach is being called a hero after witnesses say he jumped in front of students in order to protect them. Coach Aaron Feist is currently at the hospital and is in critical condition after being shot.
Overnight, a bomb squad investigated a Florida residence in connection to yesterday's shooting. Officers searched the residence at a mobile home park about an hour north of the high school. Law enforcement has yet to say exactly how those two locations are connected. Multiple news outlets are reporting there have been at least 4 school shootings involving injuries and death since the beginning of this year. Just 3 weeks ago, a school shooting at a Kentucky high school left 2 dead.
In Washington, D.C., Florida Senator Marco Rubio says a lot of gun laws proposed in the past would not have prevented this shooting.
But I also think it's unfair for anyone to represent that there's an easy answer to all this, because there isn't. At the end of the day, it's not just what people are using to carry out these attacks. There's a deeper fundamental question, and that is, why are people doing this?
Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy believes otherwise.
Let me just note once again for my colleagues that this happens nowhere else other than the United States of America. This epidemic of mass slaughter, this scourge of school shooting after school shooting. It only happens here not because of coincidence, not because of bad luck, but as a consequence of our inaction. We are responsible.
All right, here's what's happening right now. President Trump just tweeted regarding all of the additional information now being revealed about the accused high school shooter there in Florida, Nicholas Cruz. The president's tweet reads, "So many signs that the Florida shooter was mentally disturbed, even expelled from school for bad and erratic behavior. Neighbors and classmates knew he was a big problem. Must always report such instances to authorities again and again." So the president just tweeted that this morning, obviously aligning mental illness with having a role in these shootings, and that, of course, has the internet talking.
Okay, thank you very much. Meanwhile, in Washington state, authorities say a student's grandmother foiled his plan to shoot up a school. The grandmother reported the student to authorities after she found a journal with chilling details about plans he had to top all other school shootings. The suspect allegedly chose his target by flipping a coin.
Authorities are searching for a motive behind a shooting outside the National Security Agency. 3 males in an SUV tried to ram through a security checkpoint at the NSA compound. One of the men was taken to the hospital. The other 2 are being questioned by investigators. The FBI does not believe this incident was terrorism related.
Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft wants more money for public libraries so they don't have to cut services like the internet access. He's asking for a budget increase to $10.4 million. According to Ashcroft's office, a portion of the money goes to the Remote Electronic Access for Libraries program. A library spokesperson says people in rural areas often have no other way to get online.
A lot of those people rely on the internet services at the library to be able to access internet information.
The funding for this fiscal year is $5.1 million.
A former St. Louis judge who sentenced a teenager to more than 240 years in prison says she deeply regrets her ruling. In 1997, Evelyn Baker sentenced Bobby Bostic for robbing people who were delivering Christmas presents to the needy. Baker is asking the U.S. Supreme Court to give Bostic a chance at reform. Bostic was 16 years old at the time of the robbery. Police are searching for a man missing in Jefferson County, outside St. Louis County. 25-year-old Dalton Roney was last seen February 1st. Roney is 5'6", 180 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. If you have any information, you should contact the Jefferson County Police. Webster University was one of several St. Louis area locations that lost power yesterday. The university was forced to cancel classes and remained without power late into last night. School officials say more than 300 students living on campus had to find a place to crash for the evening. The school had a cookout outside to feed students who would normally eat at dining halls.
A recent study finds Columbia was a battleground for Russian hackers, and most people didn't even know it. According to a recent report, Russia fueled the panic on MU's campus during the protests of 2015 using Twitter. One example, social media reports went viral saying the KKK threatens students on campus. Those social media posts were likely pushed out by Russian propaganda accounts on Twitter. MU's working to combat misinformation.
The university as well is trying to do quite the job in educating people as they come to campus, while they're here, and making sure they understand what the proper channels are.
U.S. intelligence officials have warned Russians may use similar tactics to influence midterm elections.
Columbia is currently experiencing a significant shortage of police officers. The Citizens Police Review Board met last night and said the solution to the problem is not as simple as just hiring more officers. Chairman Darrell Smith says raising taxes isn't going to help.
Giving politicians more tax money is like handing keys to a Corvette to a teenager. A lot of times, most of the times they're going to be responsible with it, but a lot of times they're just going to go, woo, and do something, that you don't expect.
Board members hope current officers can quickly adopt new methods to stretch their presence. The members also spoke about a potential partnership with MU Police that could reduce 911 wait times as well.
Investigators were at the state capitol yesterday asking questions about Governor Greitens' affair. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch says the St. Louis Circuit Attorney's Office is in the middle of an investigation over claims Greitens took compromising photos of his mistress and threatened to release them if she said anything. The reason for the visit is still unclear, but 3 lawmakers told the Post-Dispatch the questions involved more than just the affair.
A Kansas man fighting deportation has returned from Honolulu to a Missouri jail. Syed Jamal is being held in Platte County. He was granted a stay of deportation yesterday. Jamal's attorney says the family is hoping he's released under supervision pending another deportation ruling.
We're waking up to very comfortable, very spring-like temperatures this morning. That's not going to be the case for your Friday. We're going to take a look at that weekend reality check coming up right after the break.
I'd look over Jefferson City at 6:39. Be right back.